I am Michelle Johnson, the County Administrator here in Charles City County, and on behalf of the Honorable Board of Supervisors, Mr. Floyd Miles, our Chairman, Mr. William Coder, our Vice Chairman, and Mr. Gilbert Smith, we bring you greetings this afternoon for such a monumental event here in Charles City County. Renaming of the Charles City County Courthouse to the Iona W. Adkins Courthouse here in Charles City County is such a great day here in Charles City County. I truly believe that Miss Iona Adkins was a pioneer in this community. She was a trendsetter, a trailblazer, paving the way for so many others to follow. I'm sure that on election night in 1967, becoming a part of history was not the first thing on her mind, but making an impact in this community was one of her first goals. Miss Iona Adkins embodied the spirit of Charles City County. She may have also been the inventor of inclusion and diversity before it became a buzzword in today's society. Miss Iona Adkins, a woman of strength and dignity and power, many characteristics to be emulated, so much so that her family, her children, her grandchildren also have been the first part to do things in their careers. Miss Iona Adkins, from my understanding, was a woman who you never had to wonder what she was thinking because she was going to let you know. Miss Adkins led the way not only for the Commonwealth of Virginia, but for the United States of America, having been elected as the first African American to a court after the Reconstruction of the South. She was a trailblazer in this community who worked day and night across the Commonwealth to serve not only African Americans, but all people, to be treated fair, with dignity and respect. 21 years of service as the Clerk of Circuit Court is such a great accomplishment. And so today is not a good day in Charles City County, it's a great day, because the Board of Supervisors has made this opportunity possible that we rename this courthouse from the Charles City County Courthouse to the Iona W. Adkins Courthouse here in Charles City County. And that, ladies and gentlemen, deserves a round of applause. Musical selection, Lift Every Voice and Sing by Miss Jennifer Allen. Good afternoon, shall we stand? Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring. Ring with the by Chairman Mr. Floyd H. Miles, Sr.
Hello, what's your Good afternoon. This is such a wonderful occasion that we can all be here. witnessed the renaming of our courthouse for one that worked so hard and so diligently to get things done here. I remember many nights sitting down with Miss Iona, getting wisdom and knowledge, and learning how to do my job better. She was always one to be free with her knowledge and her mentorship. And I really appreciated all the years that I was able to serve along with her. So on behalf of our Board of Supervisors, we welcome each of you here for the renaming of the courthouse in memory of Ms. Iona W. Adkins. And I thank you for your patience for working with me. I'm moving slow, but I'm here. Amen. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Miles. Governor Wilder could not make it to the event this afternoon. However, he does send a letter, and I will read it as follows. To the gathered friends, family, and citizens in recognition of Iona W. Adkins. Iona W. Adkins is fondly remembered as being one of the pioneers in Virginia who persisted in efforts to promote political empowerment for all people. Though she is being honored here today for her service as the first African-American clerk in Virginia history by a court building named in her honor, her efforts were far more reaching than that. She was one of the persons that I called upon to help me and others organize the Democratic Black Caucus of Virginia. I am proud to have worked with her and to see her overcome the odds, not just for herself, but for promoting the representation of the people. All of the people of Charles City County. I am grateful for all of her efforts and join with those here today in recognizing her achievements. L. Douglas Wilder, 66th Governor of Virginia. Next, we will have Governor Terry McAuliffe to come forward and bring reflections, and we would ask that you would introduce the next person behind you.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. It's an honor to be here. Thank you. It's great to be in Charles City County, the greatest county in the Commonwealth. It's great to be here. Dorothy and I just drove down. We had a roughly 3-hour drive. Law enforcement, I want to thank you. I had to do Face the Nation this morning, and I had to go a few miles above the speed limit to get here to make it here on time. You know, it's not easy being a former governor. You know, when you leave office, it's a pretty rude ending. You go to the Capitol, and the new governor gets sworn in, and he takes the oath of office, and you're not even allowed to stay for the new inaugural address. You're ushered out the back. The helicopter flew Dorothy and I back up to Northern Virginia to our home. Next morning I got up, state police dropped me off, and they say goodbye after being with you. Next morning I went out to my garage and got in the back seat of the car, and the car didn't go anywhere. I didn't get around front, drive the car. I was never a good driver before, so I do thank all of our law enforcement for working with me as I sort of get back into the driving mode. But I did not want to miss today to be here with all of you esteemed guests, and of course our great chairman, Floyd, great to be with you again, sir, and our great Senator Jennifer McClellan, our great congressman, greatest congressman to ever serve in the history of America. Our great mayor, LeVar Stoney, who I work so closely with. As y'all know, I have the record of restoring more felon rights than any governor in the history of the United States of America. In addition to the greatest senator ever served, well, not back to the greatest delegate ever. I'm going back to Patrick Henry, man. It's great to be with you, but I wanted to be here for the special dedication that we're having here today for this courthouse for Iona and to her family, and to think about everything that she went through. Getting elected in 1967 was a tough time in America. We had just gone through the Civil Rights Act, we had gone through the Voting Rights Act, and in many southern states there had been a lot of issues. And for an African-American woman to step up to the plate and say, I'm running for office, folks, that took a tremendous amount of courage, if you think what she went through. And then to hold that job for 21 years, I can tell you as a parent, think of what she went through with her children, for Barry and Malachi, who, while she was being sworn in and took office, had to be sent overseas, and I want to thank them for our service to the armed forces, leaving Byron at home and Mona alone, and they were not allowed to stay home alone. They couldn't even answer the phone. Think how tough those times were back then. So let's give the whole family a great round of applause. I'm glad that the courthouse will be renamed, and I also wanted to be here, not only for Iona and the family, and for what great history they meant to America. I mean, think of that, the first African-American in the United States of America. For the courts to be elected is truly something, and great honor for Charles City County. But I also wanted to be here for her granddaughter, Casey Easley, who I worked very closely with as governor. As you know, I appointed her mansion director. She was the first African-American mansion director in the history of the Commonwealth of Amen. She took on those meetings with such vigor. And she never forgot, if we did keep her busy, I always had a motto, sleep when you're dead. We like to entertain, and it is what it is, but golly, she was always there with us. But she never forgot. LeVar was at most of those parties, so he's actually know it. I'd get up early and work out at about 5, and then, I didn't like to go to bed before midnight or 1, so if I'm up, everybody else sort of had to be up. So they were sort of, on one hand, glad to see me go. But she and I worked with my wife, Dorothy, had so many things to the mansion, because you had to truly understand that mansion that was built in 1813. It has a lot of history. When you walk out that front door and walk by the desk of Patrick Henry, who started the American Revolution, give me liberty, give me death, really was something special. But on the other hand, we had to understand the true history of Virginia. When I walked in that mansion, Dorothy and I on that inauguration day, we walked in, and it's a beautiful old home, but there were a lot of portraits on the wall, all of a lot of old white men. About 30 of them. So we figured we had to change that up, and I'm very proud that we were able to put the first portrait of an African American. He didn't have a name, he was just a carpenter. But he represented so many people in our great Commonwealth that he'd worked hard, he'd done the right thing. And then we were honored to put Oliver Hill up and have a big ceremony for Oliver Hill, who was such a trailblazer. And then, of course, Barbara Johns. Now we put her portrait up, and if you remember, when you think about Barbara Johns in 1951, and at Moton School, when she led all of her students out and said, we're not coming back to this school because we have a separate school, we have an inferior school, and we can't learn, and we're not coming back until they have a school that we should go in and entitled to go in, and we're going to get a great education. And think of that young woman, what she did. But I also was a trailblazer as well. I do want to thank Casey. We also, as you know, there were 2 slave families that came with the governor, our 27th governor in 1937. And we rededicated the back, which were the slave quarters, which had been closed off. We opened all that up because it's a big part of our history. And the Valentine and Jackson family, we have 6 bronze plaques that we put up in the courtyard behind the slave quarters. And they were letters from the mothers to their children who lived in Southwest Virginia, who in 1937 were taken from their children and brought back to the governor's mansion. Casey did a great job, and that's the other reasons I say I wanted to be here today. We are a fantastic Commonwealth, but we do need to remember our past, and we do need to remember our heroes. And Iona clearly is one of those heroes, and that's why Dorothy and I wanted to be here today with you. And thank you, and thank the leadership of the board for making this decision. You made the right decision, and folks, onward and upwards. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Terry, for your very kind introduction. I'm sure we haven't heard the last of it. But it's good to be back in Charles City. I don't represent it anymore, so it's always a great pleasure to come back and see so many friends. Jerry Blouse frequently quoted somebody when he said that 80% of life is just showing up. So when you see people, governors and congressmen and members of the General Assembly, local elected officials from all over the region, you know you're at an important event. And that's because Iona Adkins was such a trailblazer, elected clerk of court in 1967, when few blacks were elected to anything. In fact, when she was elected on election day, there were no blacks at that time serving in the Virginia General Assembly. In fact, I was in a program just yesterday where it was pointed out that the Newport News area was not represented in the General Assembly from the 1890s up until when I was elected in 1977. And so her election was just the beginning. There's a story of a woman who went to her pastor and said, "Pastor, got good news. I've just been promoted as the first black manager in the local company." And the pastor said, "Well, that's good news, but be sure to do a good job so you won't be the last." She did a good job. She was reelected, and because of her involvement in the Charles City Civic League, she ensured that she would not be the last. In fact, there are a lot of people speaking today that she helped get elected, including myself. President Kennedy once said that a nation reveals itself by the men it produces, also by the men it honors, the men it remembers. Now, Iona Adkins hadn't been elected when he said that, otherwise he would have been sure to include women. But we reveal ourselves, Charles City reveals itself by honoring Iona Adkins 52 years after her first election, so that 52 years from now, she will still be honored and remembered. Thank you, Charles City County, for honoring and remembering Iona W. Adkins. It's my privilege to introduce the former delegate from Richmond, now serving in the Virginia Senate, Senator Jennifer McClellan.
Any Hamilton fans in the audience? Well, I'm going to start with a quote from a lyric that I think you all should listen to the song. Legacy. What is a legacy? It's planting seeds in a garden you will never get to see. That is what we are here celebrating today. The legacy of Iona W. Adkins, who was the first, but certainly not the last. And most people, probably even in 1967, definitely today, don't even know what the clerk of court does. Probably never think about what the clerk of court does. But the clerk of court is integral to justice that is meted out in our court system. And for 21 years, Iona was integral to justice here in Charles City County. But her legacy goes far beyond that. It's every individual that she encouraged along the way as a mentor, encouraging them to run for office, encouraging them in their own lives. But it's also the people she touched that she never met. I did not have the pleasure to know her, but I see her legacy every day in the women who are serving you today in office here in Charles City County, and her granddaughter, who I have seen serving the Commonwealth, and not just as the mansion director, but now as a lobbyist. And in my own life, as she doesn't know it, but she, as being one of the first, had an impact on me in my own run. And children who are not yet born will come to this courthouse for whatever reason and say, Iona Adkins, who was that? Maybe I need to know who she was, and they'll learn about her and read about her, and she will spark something in them and encourage something in them. That is her legacy. I'm very proud as your senator to be here today to help you honor her. Thank you all for inviting me. And where will we be without Bobby Scott telling us what to do? It's my pleasure to introduce my partner declare in the General Assembly Delegate Lamont Bradby.
So, it's been a busy couple of weeks here in Virginia. I'm with fun. And so, when Casey told me we had to be here, I really at that point didn't know it was a we, I thought it was just me. She asked me if I wanted to speak. And so I said, yeah, I'll be the speaker. So I thought I was going to be the speaker today. And so yesterday was my first real Saturday off in a long time. And I spent it working on my speech. Then I get here. After driving here and reviewing my speech and all ready to give my speech, and I see the governor's on the program, the congressman's on the program, the mayor's on the program, the senator's on the program. I realize I'm just here to say thank you to the Board of Supervisors. So I do want to say thank you to the Board of Supervisors for making such an awesome decision. And I also want to say thank you to the Adkins family. Because not only has Iona Adkins left a legacy, she's left a lot of individuals that continue to do great work, and in your own rights, you all have in every area have done great works. And with that being said, I think I better do my next thing and introduce the mayor of the city of Richmond, LeVar Stone.
Thank you, Delegate Bradby. Good afternoon, everyone. So, of everyone on the program, I do not represent Charles City. But y'all do see me on TV now. So I had to be here, but also, I wanted to also take the privilege as the only millennial on the program as well. No offense to you, Delegate Bradby, or Governor McCullough. But as the youngest person on the program, I have to speak from the millennial perspective, because if you know a millennial, millennials normally think that we were the first to do it and that we did it the best. But I'm here today to let you all know, once again, that we are standing on the shoulders of giants. Whether it's Doug Wilder, Spotswood Robinson, Oliver Hill, Bobby Scott, Iona Adkins, we are standing on the shoulders of giants and trailblazers. You know, for the last few weeks here in the Commonwealth, we've been talking about this being the 400th year since the enslaved Africans arrived on the coast of this great state. In addition, we've been talking about atonement as well. I think it's good that today we choose to talk about celebration, celebrating one of our own, a trailblazer. But in addition to that, I'll say I did not have the pleasure of knowing Iona Adkins. But I do know her through her daughter, Iona, and through her granddaughter, Casey, as well. And from what I know, she was solid as a rock. Yeah. Not just a rock for her family, but also a rock for this community. Ms. Adkins had the ingredients for success. Right? She was resilient. She had unwavering faith, and she had that just undying belief for justice for all. When I think about the fact that she was the unwavering faith, you know, she endured a lot when it came to death threats and her public safety and her family safety as well. But you could never see it. She came to work, she got the job done, she kept her family close. That's the sort of endurance you don't see in average, everyday people. You saw it in Iona Adkins. But also the fact that she also believed in justice and being inclusive before it was a buzzword as it is today. She treated those who walked through those doors, no matter how much money you may have in your pocket, what color your skin may be, where you might be from in this county, that she thought that you deserved the sort of justice when you walked through these doors. And now, this building, the building built for justice, now grace her name, so that any person from any walk of life will walk through these doors and be treated with respect, dignity, and justice. It's a great day in Charles City County. It's a great day in the Commonwealth of Virginia. Now it's my honor to bring to the stage her son, Mr. Adkins.
Good evening.
On behalf of Iona Adkins children, Byron Senior, four of us, and Byron Senior. Raise your hand. Y'all got Griffin. He did raise his hand. And more, will you stand for him? Charles City County Board of Supervisors, the Honorable Judge Elliott Barnum over here. Thank you. County Administrator, the citizens of this great county, and all of you that are present here today, on behalf of the Adkins and Whitehead families, I would like to say to you with heartfelt gratitude, thank you. Appreciation is extended to Lisa Jones for her diligence and dedication to this endeavor, as well as Victoria Washington, current clerk of Circuit Court. Easy Minor, who coordinated this with the family. Iris Black, who's outside making sure you have a wonderful snack to dessert on you leave out of here. Nathaniel Christian, Weldon Smith that's in the back, and Herschel Jones is walking around here somewhere taking a picture. Thanks to Appreciate Bedwood, who's right here, I couldn't find her, and Jerica Dixon for assisting with favors that are available in the slide presentation outside for your viewing. I would be remiss if I didn't thank those who took the time out of their busy schedules to be participants in this historic event. Iona W. Adkins was clerk of Circuit Court from 1968 to 1989. Iona was a very strong and determined woman. Which at times caused conflict with others. However, that did not change her course of direction. There are very few people today who are living that actually have knowledge of the planning process that occurred prior to the election of the clerk in 1967. There were major barriers that had to be overcome. First and foremost, Iona understood that in dealing with barriers and individuals, that emotions overrule all common sense and knowledge. She understood that emotions diminishes an individual's cognitive functions and their ability to differentiate right from wrong. I only firmly believe that you must embrace diversity. Essential to the foundation of her strategic plan was the mobilization of churches and county-wide involvement. The election, facing the impossible, a female and an Afro-American, Iona did not believe everything that people said. The headlines in November 1967 read, "Two Negroes win in Charles City." And it further stated, "We did not seek glory," the Negroes said, "only to serve." I would like to take a moment to pause and give homage to the late James and Bradby, who was elected as sheriff, and I think I saw Al here at least somewhere. Al, you here? Al's in the back. There may be somebody else that I don't know. And Mr. Bradby was elected as sheriff. They ran as a team. And Mr. Bradby never faltered in support to Iona Adkins, while knowing that standing with a female was not the most popular position for him to take. For that solidarity, Sheriff James Bradby will never be forgotten. Iona's strength was built on faith and rooted in the support of her husband, Mel Cassie. She knew that faith is taking the first step, even when you don't see the stairway. Fear. Fear is false expectations in your mind appearing to be real. Iona was driven by faith and not by fear. Matter of fact, we talk about answering the phone. We weren't allowed to answer the phone, but one of the most joyous occasions I ever had was answering the phone. I didn't understand the consequences. The impossible, becoming possible, was a major achievement in Charles City for the Commonwealth of Virginia and this great nation, America. This was achieved by citizens taking full advantage of their opportunity to vote. There were some barriers that still existed in 1975, and some 50 years later, there are still actual barriers that exist in 2019. But these barriers diminished in the 1983 election, which provided the opportunity for the clerk of the circuit court to hold office that was occupied by Iona Adkins for 21 years. This standard is still by far considered a monumental achievement. Jeremiah 19:11, I alone know the plans I have for you. During the first year, 68 through 1970, that was Jonathan B. Marston, the deputy clerk, and Judge Armstead is still strong in support. There also was in the wings up-and-coming judge, Judge Bill Stone, and his daughter's with us, Jackie. We're pleased to have you. And this is Judge Stone's robe behind you. Iona Adkins was the clerk of the circuit court as well as the clerk of the board of supervisors. There was not a county administrator during that time. However, we do see the first county administrator here, Mr. Holmes. During her tenure of 21 years, those that remained in the clerk's office after her retirement were Josie Hayes, Bridget Angel, and Christine Shields. I see her over in the corner. There were many constitutional officers that served while she was in office. There were 8 different individuals that served on the Charles City County Board of Supervisors. Only one, the late C. Hill Carter, served more than 21 years. The only board member that worked with her during her tenure is with us today, Chairman of the Board, Mr. Floyd Miles Sr. You want to raise your hand, Mr. Miles? We also have Mr. Gilbert Smith, who's been on the board since 1991, and Mr. Bill Coder since 2011, and they are present. The other constitutional officers that served during her tenure, Commonwealth Attorney, P. Randolph Boyd, Commissioners of Revenue, John and Virginia Christian, and Denise B. Smith, currently the Senior Ranking Commissioner in the Commonwealth of Virginia, is present with us. Four sheriffs and the former Sheriff B. Washington Sr. is present. The only pastor in the county that was here during her tenure is Reverend Tommy Drayton, who is present. After retirement, the following individuals that served in this office: Thomas Williams, Edith Holmes, and Victoria Washington. The process of renaming the courthouse Iona W. Adkins began in 2004. That's some 15 years ago. Dr. Yvonne Smith-Jones Presented petitions in support of this effort to the Board of Supervisors. She developed a countywide strategy, here again, involving the churches. There were 20 individuals involved as team captains, and one I see in front of me, I know it's more than that, but Miss Eleanor Robinson is here. Reverend Eddie Perry Sr. and his wife is here. At this meeting. And I also see the treasurer in the back. Mindy is here. I may have missed someone, but forgive me for that. Life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others? Ecclesiastes 3:1. There is a time and purpose for everything under heaven and earth. Today, February 17, 2019. And let me stop because I did skip some. Our own sisters are here. We talk. Last family member of 18 is here, Barstow. The name of the courthouse is Iona W. Adkins. She is a part of this county's great history. She had a genuine interest in home, school, church, community, and the Commonwealth. She stood the test of time, community, and the Commonwealth. She contributed to the leadership and caring disposition for people. Iona Adkins Whitehead paved the way for others, some of them are sitting up here today, to follow in leadership roles in this county and the Commonwealth of Virginia. Love. Love is the only force capable of transforming an enemy into a friend. I say to you, thanks to all of you for all that you have done and all that you will continue to do. Always being mindful that you can make a difference. God bless you and thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Adkins. He just said, thank God. I had a pleasure of talking with Byron on Friday as the letters were being installed, and he says, hopefully I'll plan to get some sleep on Sunday night. So Byron, job well done. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Board of Supervisors, again of Charles City County, we would like to thank all of you for your presence this afternoon. To all of those that have served on our program, thank you so much. We really, really appreciate you all participating to make this day a great success. This concludes our program. However, we do have light refreshments and we do have the unveiling of the letters, the official name and her picture out front. So if we could all join together and move out into the hallway, we will see the unveiling of the letters at this time.
Y'all ready?
Yes.
Yeah, we're ready.